Originally, the company was called Starsys.
Right.
What happened with that? Because there were several mergers that happened with that company.
We grew the company for about 10 or 12 years organically. It basically means, we were making paraffin actuators, we're finding places for them, we had nice general growth. And at about $6 million in sales, which is maybe about 60 people, a company came to us and said, we have a motor technology, we'd like somebody to buy us, we'd like it to be you, because we want to work with you guys. So we did an acquisition, which we had no business doing at that size, but it actually worked out. So now we had a motor technology. And from that point, we went through this incredible growth phase, 50% a year for 4 years. So we were 6 million, 9 million, 11 million, 14 million, 18 million. And we just didn't say no. Like you'd come to me, Mike, and you'd say, can you build me a deployable structure the size of a football field? And I'd go, yeah, sure, can do. And we did. But what happened is we grew so quickly. We became almost victims of our own success. When you're doing something as specialized as spacecraft hardware, it's like art. It isn't easy to replicate. It's not like you can just turn a knob and make tons more of something. And we just kept saying yes. And so we ended up with 7, 10 big programs, very sophisticated programs. And it was more than we had the ability to just hire into. So by the time we got to about 15, 18 million, we really had so much going on that we needed to bring in additional financing because programs weren't as profitable. And so we decided to actually, we had two choices. We were going to sell the company or bring in investors. And then we connected with SpaceDev. And they were such a perfect company for us. SpaceDev was building, they built the rocket motors on Spaceship One. Really neat company. A fellow, Mark Sarangelo, who was the CEO, was working with Jim Benson. And so we decided to merge. So we became SpaceDev. And Starsys was 150 people. SpaceDev was, I think, 30 or 40. They were building rockets. We were building, spacecraft mechanisms. So we came together and then 2 or 3 years later connected with Sierra Nevada, which was this tremendous opportunity because SpaceDev and Starsys didn't have really deep pockets. They're two small companies coming together. Sierra Nevada had resources. So now Sierra Nevada comes in and purchases this entity and it becomes Sierra Nevada Space, also brings in a company called MSI. And it catalyzed the ability to field the Dream Chaser with SpaceDev to be able to go after significant NASA money as a replacement for the shuttle. So now, I'm out of it. I stayed for 3 years after I sold the company. That came together. Sierra Nevada is going forward, and it's hugely rewarding to see these people that we were making these little actuators are now making spacecraft and satellites, and I kind of get to have a sit back and watch that, and I've been surprised how much pride I've taken in just I was a part of the start of all that way back when.
So now that you're not as involved with those projects, what is now on the horizon for you? What is eSPACE?
Well, interesting thing happens as an entrepreneur when you exit, and you don't really realize how strange that is, that event, till it really happens to you. And so you've got this thing you've created, this baby, this entity with all these relationships, and all of a sudden you're handing it over to somebody. And whether you're left with money or not, depending on how the deal goes, all of a sudden you're starting from scratch. It's a very odd thing. And so for me, I chose to stay with the merged company for a while and just kind of watch it grow. But then the CEO suggested this idea, kind of a project, which is, how about a center for space entrepreneurship? How about creating some entity that can help these companies come to be, so they don't have to do like what you did, Scott, where you just had to make it up. And so we did that. And over a period of a couple of years, we developed the structure of a not-for-profit that would, like if you had an idea for a solar panel, and it was a good one, we'd be able to give you a place to have your company. We'd give you funding. We'd give you resources. We'd teach you how to be in the space biz. And so we set this up, and we went out and created funding from Congress for it. Got a couple $1 million in funding from there and a couple sources. It's in Boulder, Colorado. It's called eSPACE, the Center for Space Entrepreneurship. I was running it for a while and realized that's not what I wanted to be doing. So we've got some real talented people. Diane DeMeff runs it, and she was very important in the creation. University of Colorado was key in the creation. Jeff Forbes, who was the head of the aerospace department. And it's this unique resource that I get to also look at and go, wow, this is so cool. Because it just creates an ability for people to create space companies, and takes away a lot of the activation energy to it. So I did that for a while, and then realized I wanted to get back in it. I just, some people are, I did it once, that's fine, I'm out. I'm going to build my house in Maui or whatever the entrepreneur does. Others are like, I can't stand it, I'm getting back in. I found that's me, much to my surprise. I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I also found I didn't want to get back into space again, just because been there and done it. And it was wonderful, but it's like, want to try something new. So I'm deep in a project. I've been working for 2 or 3 years that creates a texting while driving solution. We're working with a major carrier and insurance company. It creates a way to prevent texting while driving without having any software on the phone. It's a very, very unique technology and a systems approach. So I'm deep in that. It's a long journey. It's exhausting. It's everything I remember from 25 years ago. But I'm still back in it again.